Yes. Good morning. Welcome back, one and all, to the Football Terrace. A really interesting day of football awaits us. Potential banana skins all around for the remainder of the top six that haven't played this weekend. Arsenal, of course, versus Burnley. Spurs play Crystal Palace, and a very simplistic game for Liverpool against Fulham. It should be 3 points for each of those clubs, but who knows when it comes to football anymore in the Premier League? It's anybody's guess in relation to what is going to happen. We're here to talk some Premier League news, some interesting information that is circulating across social media. We want your views and opinions on it. We want you to digest and tell us what you think. I have my personal opinions on these stories, and I'm sure you do as well. We're sitting here ready to take your calls via Discord. So you can join our Discord server now by clicking on the link in the description below. Just call the Football Terrace via the app, either on your desktop or via your mobile phone. Get yourself on the air. I want to hear from you right about now, especially in relation to these stories that we're discussing today. Paul Pogba backing Mino over some supposed fake news about him looking to leave his agent if he doesn't get the transfer in the summer. Paul has also spoken out at last about the comments relating to Manchester United, but it sure as hell confirms that he wants to leave Manchester United, in my opinion. We're going to be talking William Saliba and the fact that he reportedly has no future at Arsenal Football Club, despite only arriving in the summer and being one of the hotly tipped youngsters coming through Arsenal and purchased by Mikel Arteta and the club to go on to brilliant things. And massive reports as well that Liverpool star Diogo Jota is facing 2 months out injured. There's some rumors suggesting that this is not true, but we want your views, your opinions on it. That is the point of the Football Terrace. We are not a news outlet. We are fan media. We talk about what's going on outside of the mainstream news, and we talk to you about it. We give you a voice. Remember, you can read a newspaper, you can listen to Talk Sport, you can watch Sky. How often are you getting a voice? How often are you getting the chance to phone in and have your say? Have your say on these matters. I want to know what you're thinking and you're feeling in relation to that. I'm going to start off with William Saliba. Do you know, I think this William Saliba news, my opinion, I think the media is they're being clever in their little world. Arsenal are in a little bit of turmoil at the moment. Arsenal have a number of problems going on at the football club. They're struggling down the bottom. Any dropping of points today against Burnley sends them into further turmoil. However, William Saliba, in my opinion, has just come in and is a bit too raw for the Premier League. I think there's a talent in there, and I think that Mikel Arteta and Arsenal Football Club know this. This whole he has no future at Arsenal, I think it's purely another mechanism to throw to throw petrol on the already engulfed fire at the football club. Arsenal fans are already frustrated. Arsenal fans are already angry. Arsenal fans are already feeling like they're in the mud. And what a great way to intensify that feeling. There's no better way to intensify that feeling than throwing out that they're one of their star players that they were excited over signing. You know, William Saliba, very well touted, very well thought about as, you know, one of the best up and coming young centre backs in Europe. What a better way of twisting the news that he's not ready for first team football by saying he has no future at Arsenal Football Club. That's very much my opinion on this. I think when you I just think it's too premature. I don't believe at any point has William Saliba been told by Arsenal, by Mikel Arteta, by Edu, that he has no future at Arsenal Football Club. I think that he'll be available for a move in January, but I think that's going to be a loan move. And look, that he may, I know he's had problems with family, and maybe it'll be a move back to France just to get some football under him. I honestly think they should try and find him a move to a like-minded club in the Championship. That would be my preference. If I was advising William Saliba, without knowing his sort of psyche at the moment, I would be suggesting go to a Championship club, stay in England, try and stay in the Southeast, get used to your surroundings, learn a bit more about the British game at a slightly lower level where there is less pressure, where you don't have the media and rival fans looking at you every few minutes. and trying to grow out from there. That would primarily be what I would suggest. That would be my thought, my feeling towards this. But I do think it's a bit of fake news from the media to come out and suggest that Arsenal already want to cut ties with William Saliba. There's something about that as a story that I think is just, it's Jackanory. It's Jackanory as far as I'm concerned. I don't believe it for a single second. Simple and as straightforward as that. I don't believe it for a single second that it's true. I really, really don't. Next story coming up here, Diogo Jota. Again, this is another one that's interesting for me. It says here that Jurgen Klopp will now be without his forward for the festive period, and his return is expected in the new year. You see how they throw that line in there, and they put the 2 months in kind of quotation marks. I think he's going to miss a couple of games if he's injured at all. I think this is again the media looking to try and I'm going to use the word banter Liverpool Football Club, who have already had a major injury crisis this year. They know that Firmino hasn't been firing on all cylinders. So what better way to try and get under the skin? What better way to try and get under the skin of Liverpool fans than to suggest that Diogo Jota is facing 2 months out? These reports have come, I believe, from Portugal. Now, I'm not saying that the Portuguese media can't have picked up on this. You know, maybe a close friend or a representative of Jota, that would be Mendes. I don't know if that would happen. Has told a Portuguese journalist before. Liverpool have kind of released this information, but it's very unlike Liverpool to allow this information to come out of their football club and to not go through one of their preferred media outlets. So again, like the William Saliba news, I don't believe it. I don't believe it's true. I don't think it's really happening. I don't know. I'm not disagreeing that he's injured. But this whole he's out for 2 months. 2 months from now means you're not going to see him basically until Valentine's Day, bruv. Do you know what I mean? And I think it's cannon fodder. Like, I really think it's cannon fodder. But I want your views, your opinions. Sign up to the Discord server now. Come and give us a call. I know there's lots of you waiting. We will be taking your calls very, very soon on this. I want to speak Paul Pogba as well. Smash the like button before we go any further, please. We want to try and get all our videos to a 50% views to like ratio. And you, our live viewers, are so important to us. We need you to hit that button for us right about now, please. Isn't about my opinion or the story. It's about supporting the channel. And if you're here, whether you're here to banter me or whether you're here to support me, you get something out of this channel. So hit that like button for us. It's really important. Otherwise, the big corporate conglomerates that don't make fan content, that don't do what the likes of AFTV, United Stand, myself, we make fan content. We will get buried behind these corporates over the next 3 or 4 years unless you support us. We're going to move on to Paul Pogba. He defended Mino Raiola within 24 hours of a story being released that claimed that the Man United midfielder was considering severing ties with his agent, and not because Paul Pogba was annoyed at Mino Raiola's comments in the week about wanting to leave Manchester United, but because the report from the German outlet suggested that Paul Pogba had put pressure on Mino Raiola to arrange a transfer next year. Otherwise, the Frenchman would consider seeking representation elsewhere. This made Paul Pogba come out, and of course, Mino Raiola come out, and it was a message endorsed by Paul Pogba that this was fake news, that this was lies. And it's triggered a number of Man United fans. Yes, he's come out and put out an Instagram post that says, I've always fought and will always fight for Man United, my teammates and the fans. Blah, blah is not important. I think blah, blah is we're talking about the media here. He says, the future is far. Today is what matters. And I'm 1,000% involved. And I think it was good that Paul Pogba came out and said that as well. And it sort of, the way I sort of look at it is very much this. Paul Pogba and Mino Raiola are one and the same in terms of their relationship. So I had no belief that Paul would come out and condemn Mino Raiola for what he said. Paul Pogba wants out of Manchester United. There is no doubt about it. They're going about it their way. But something else I also said and defended Paul Pogba with is that I think he's 100% committed. Like, he's training, he's playing, he wants to win. He just doesn't want to stay at the club beyond the end of this season. Now, I've left jobs before, but continue to work my proverbial off into the day that I've left. So the methodology this week and the timing of that article, I completely concur. It was wrong, unprofessional, disgraceful in many ways. But that isn't the whole story. It's an element of. Paul Pogba is dedicated to playing for Man United. I thought he did his best yesterday for Man United. Look, nobody was great yesterday. He had some good moments. Nobody was great. So I'm not putting that on Paul. It's not like, oh, Paul's out of order because he wasn't great yesterday. Nobody was. Bruno wasn't great. Rashford wasn't great. Nobody was great. Everybody had a few moments here and there where they did some good things, but it was a very incohesive, inconsistent performance. By the way, both Manchester clubs. But Paul Pogba's leaving Man United. The comments from him on Instagram and his supporting of Mino Raiola over the news of him looking for new representation is all the proof you need he's leaving. It's all the proof you need that they stand by those comments made midweek about wanting out of Manchester United. So if there are any United fans out there that are under some sort of weird belief that Paul Pogba might end up staying, please, 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 please stop. Paul Pogba is not going to stay at Manchester United. It's not happening in a month of Sundays. He's gone. It's like The Sopranos, bruv. It's over. It ain't ever coming back. It is never, ever, 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 ever coming back. So get that in your heads. Literally, bro, get that in your head. He is gone. We're going to start taking your calls now. Strip Bear here says, Arsenal kill the youth. Strip Bear is on it today. Harrison Lang, one of our members here, says, Terry, have you seen the stick Maguire is getting for hugging Stones? He literally had a fantastic game and is still getting abused, even though Fred was hugging Edison and Bruno hugging Bernardo. Why always him? Look. Maguire will get stick from people that don't like him. Pogba gets stick from his haters. Every single Man United player at the moment has haters. I'm just at a point where I don't listen to them. Do you know why I don't listen to them, Harrison? Do you know why I laugh at all these pathetic little people? Is the same individuals that scapegoat and diminish and rip apart every element of Maguire. They cry like little babies when people do it to their Martial. Well, they cry like little babies when people do it to their Bruno. And Bruno's haters, when you do it to my Pogba, you're out of order. What it comes down to, I'm sure every single one of you had parents that said this to you at some stage, or a teacher that said this to you at some stage, like, don't stoop. So, miss, I only did X to Johnny because Johnny was doing it to me, and they say don't stoop to that level. That is how I look at some of these Man United fans. Some of these Manchester United fans have become very childish, very immature, very laughable. I mean, I laugh at these people. I used to be annoyed by them. I now laugh at them and pity them. I pity them as individuals because they walk around lowering their standards, lowering their morality, damaging their integrity, and they look silly. There's having banter, which you're meant to do, primarily towards your rivals, right? But these guys, it's like they cry. They literally, I can't believe, oh my God, people are scapegoating Paul Pogba. Why is Maguire hugging someone? He's the reason we're bad. They go from them two moments. Bruno's this, Bruno's that. Don't you have a go at Paul Pogba? It's the whole team that's the problem, not just one guy. Bruno made us lose today because he lost the ball so much. That is them. It's literally, like, you ever seen those scenes in The Lord of the Rings where Gollum and Schmeagol are talking to each other? That is them. They are Gollum. They are Schmeagol. They really are. My precious. That's how they treat. Their precious is their favorite player. Whether it's Pogba, Maguire, Bruno. My precious. That's how they look after it. And everybody else is evil, trying to take their precious away. They're not Man United fans. It's so obvious, but I now enjoy watching it. It's become almost, it's like watching Joey Essex be dumb. I used to be annoyed. Again, in my younger years, I'd be like, why is Joey Essex becoming so popular for being stupid? Now I look at it and just go, fair play to you. Look at him. I just join in. I just watch the Victorian freak show at the same time. It's never gone away. It's just become something different. So yeah, I hear your point, Harrison, about that, but I'm just over it, bruv. Because Maguire could play amazingly well for 20, 30, 40 games, 100 games on the bounce, have one bad game, and these men have come out. Same as Paul. I feel like I'm the only guy on socials who runs a channel, who has a big Twitter account or anything like that, that is consistent in his criticism of all players. You know, like I say about Rashi, people go, you defend Rashford too much. It's not that I over-defend Rashford. It's that Rashford gets over-criticized. See, he had a bad game yesterday, bad game against Leipzig. That's the proof that he lacks intelligence and that he isn't good enough. What about his performance when he came in against West Ham a few games ago? Well, I want it every game. Do players do it every game? Can you find me a large percentage of elite level attacking footballers that are doing it every single game over the history of the last 30 years? You can't. You can find a handful that have been massively consistent, by the way, not at 23. So, barring Messi and Ronaldo. So your criticism's over the top, but you don't do it to these 3 or 4 other players at the club who are also, as if you want to call Rashford inconsistent, they're as inconsistent, but you leave them alone. That's what happens. Have balance to your criticism and you won't see other people overtly defend them. It's crazy. It's literally because people support players now over football clubs. And I used to find it embarrassing. I used to pity I still do pity them. But now I'm just going to laugh at them, Harrison. I totally get you on that one. Do me a favor and smash that like button, people. We want to take your calls this morning as well via Discord. We're going to get you on the air in a few moments. There's no one actually waiting call-wise. Maybe Darkside User. No, Darkside User's gone. So if you're ready and waiting, you want to jump on and have your say, please feel free to do so. David here, another member, says, stupid millennials, keyboard warriors. Bro, it isn't just millennials, man. It isn't just millennials. It really isn't. Cam here says, man said Gollum. It's true, Cam. These people are like Gollum. They're like Gollum, bro. They have these weird conversations with themselves where they will cry if Paul Pogba is overly criticized, if he's scapegoated. I literally heard someone tweet me yesterday saying, oh, Rashford, his decision-making was proven bad yesterday because he shot on his left foot first time rather than taking care and thinking about things. I'm like, cool. That was his one mistake, really, in attacking. He also had a bad touch when Bruno put him in. That was more technical than the mistake, right? So he had that technical mistake and then the decision-making error. Those were the 2 ones and the small ones around it. But I'm like, the same people. I'm like, well, Paul Pogba had a first-time shot when Rashford set him up, but he should have let the ball run through to Greenwood, who was clean through on goal. That's decision-making, but you didn't mention that. Secondly, Paul Pogba had an opportunity. He was in front of he got behind the midfield of City. He was going forward. He had 2 or 3 passing options on, and he went to touch the ball, but he trod on it and fell over and lost possession. Those 2 mistakes from Pogba, both one decision-making, the other being technical, are equally the same as Rashford's. But but Rashford's haters don't focus on that from Paul Pogba. Me as a Man United fan, I'm annoyed at all 4 of those situations. I don't put Pogba's above Rashford's primarily because I look at them both as elite level football players. Now, I'm more critical of the elite players than I am. So I'm more critical of a mistake from Pogba than I am from McTominay because my expectations of Pogba are higher because he's a vastly superior football player. That's what it comes down to. But non-Man United fans who pretend to be United fans, the Gollums of this world, my precious, they will always scapegoat 3 or 4 players to make sure the attention and limelight isn't on their favorites. They're like soccer mums. That their kid's amazing and they want to make every other kid look bad in the team so that their kid is either not highlighted as being a disaster or is looked at as a better footballer. It's as clear as upon the nose, upon the end of my face. It's and I don't have a big nose, but it's clear. Do you know what I mean? It's simple. We've got a super chat here from one of my favorite strip bear. It says, Terry, do women's football shows once a month. It's good. Sure, you can get guests. Do you know what? The women's football stuff is interesting because I don't personally watch it due to time. The same as I don't watch much outside of the Premier League, if I'm being honest, purely due to time and the amount of time and effort I put into the shows I'm already doing. But it is something we're thinking about and considering and want to look to move towards. There's no doubt about it. That's on the consideration for us. Hamid here says, Terry, you have to understand these fans are on social media are actually teenagers, which explains them in the immaturity. They're not all teenagers though, bro. Some of these people come on my channel and they're like in their late 20s, bro. They're in their late 20s, bro. Like these men have fully formed frontal lobes. Proper, bro. Proper. We've got Cam on the show with us now. Cam, you there, bro?
You hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, bro. What have you rung to speak about today?
I just had to comment on that Lord of the Rings thing, man. Terry, bro, you're an absolute joker. Listen, it's not that bad. Sorry, man. No, it's not that bad. You lot are going on like you're like I know Ollie, yeah. Obviously, yesterday you should have done a lot better. To be honest, when I was watching the match, yeah, should have done a lot better. But I wouldn't be that like upset because at least you came from City with a point, even though you should have done a lot better. City could have done a lot better and destroyed you. You get what I'm saying? So in a way, you should be happy about that. But that Gollum comment got me, Terry, man.
Well, the problem with it is that you got eye test here in the comments. Who says your boy Maguire fell over twice in 20 seconds and cost us the PSG game. So you've got eye test who thinks that we lost the PSG 3-1 because of the counter-attack goal in the dying moments where Maguire fell over. It's like, no, we lost that game because we went 1-0 down, which was fair at the time. We got back into the game. We equalized. We then dominated for the majority of the second half, had 3 or 4 golden chances that we missed, including people like Martial that are rated, missed golden opportunities to score, dominating possession of the play, conceded a poor goal that was down to the defense not getting out fast enough. Maguire wasn't one of them, by the way. He was out. AWB, I think, was playing him on side by not getting out quick enough. And then Fred goes and gets himself inexplicably sent off 20 seconds after that. They were the key moments. But again, someone that dislikes Maguire will look at that final goal and say, well, if he'd have stayed in his feet and cleared the ball, we still might have gone and equalized. Yeah, and you can say that if you want. But this is what happens. People have 3 or 4 players in their mind at all times that they want to scapegoat.
It's the truth. It's like, you know what it is, yeah? It's exactly like at Arsenal, innit? Like I'll be the first to hold my hands up about Arsenal. Yeah, there's amount of times I do scapegoat these players and certain players, but then you really have to realize like you can't keep scapegoating certain players. You have to come to realize that it is the actual team.
Well, this is exactly. So you look at it this way. This is why the scapegoat element. Individual games can be lost by individual people. You know, the irony. You know, if Rashford takes a touch yesterday instead of shooting first time on his left foot and brings it on the inside and shoots and scores, then we go. Then you could say that's right. But if he takes that touch, puts his head up, squares it, or has a shot and doesn't score, people would have said, "Why didn't you shoot first time?" Hindsight.
Yeah, why didn't you shoot first time? There's always a problem like that. That's the problem. As football fans, we'll never be happy. I don't know.
Of course, and weird, we like to, but we don't. We always pick a scapegoat, and the issue with picking scapegoats is this: at Man United for the last 8 years, every season there's been a scapegoat or two. It's been Fellaini, it's been Rooney, it's been Angel Di Maria. There's been all sorts of people that have been the scapegoats. Chris Smalling was it? Phil Jones was it? So many of these players have been. I tell you, he was a big scapegoat at United, and he was accountable for so many defeats. Ashley Young, and the irony is, quite a few of these players have left and gone on to do well elsewhere since leaving. And equally, overtly, Man United have not dramatically improved with any of them leaving or any changing manager, which tells you it's an issue. It's club deep. It's deeper than just that. And on the individuals, yes, if Maguire cost us the game tomorrow, and then the next week, and then the next week, you can put that on Maguire. That's fine. But if he keeps getting picked, you then look at the manager. If the manager keeps picking players,
you can't keep scapegoating Maguire if he's the one that's getting picked. You have to be like, yo, Ollie, come on.
Yeah,
like,
but then
Maguire is making all these mistakes. Why are you still picking?
But then it continues to move up the ladder. If Solskjaer keeps picking the players that are costing us games and doesn't change it and doesn't change up the system, then you have to look at the people employing Solskjaer and say, why are you allowing this incompetence to continue? And that's what I'm talking about when it comes to this. At the end of the day, what we'd like to do as fans is It's the Gollum element. We like to focus on the, Gollum's biggest problem was the ring. Gollum's biggest problem was actually the ring that used to mess his mind
Lord
up.
of the Rings, the Man United special coming out summer 2021.
Gollum's issue was the ring. It wasn't everything else surrounding it. The problem these Man United fans have is they're focusing on the wrong problems. They're focusing their love of their favorite player or two actually poisons their mind and it narrows their views. And that's why they focus on a manager. That's why they focus on another player, so they can take the attention away from what the real problem is rather than addressing it. And if they stop supporting players and supported a football club and were open and balanced, they wouldn't be as angry as regularly. They would see the bigger picture and they would genuinely feel better about these things. And there's a comment here from iTest, and it's a fact, and you can't argue it, that Maguire has been relegated 4 times in his career. Ollie got Cardiff relegated. These things are absolutely true. But what has that got to do with the price of eggs when it comes to that? Doesn't correlate. That doesn't correlate with
his past.
Well, that doesn't.
That's like judging someone on their past.
Yeah, but listen, look. So
they can get better. They will. Obviously, there's some people that don't improve. They will, and there are people that do improve. Like,
yeah. So what I'm
give time.
But what I'm saying,
with the Ollie situation, I don't know. It's a bit different. With the Maguire, I understand. With the Ollie, I think, I don't know, man. With the Ollie situation, I just feel like Manchester. It's like with Arteta or Arsenal. I don't think. No. The job is too big for both them managers.
So I hear you. So my view on it is very much this, Cam. So everything that Arteta has said is a fact. I'm not going to dispute that. But what that does for someone like Arteta is, okay, because he's been relegated in the past, I'm going to put blame on the majority of our losses on Maguire. And I'm happy for you to not rate Maguire. This isn't what I'm saying. And this is where the Gollums get confused, because my view is that you put everything on him. You scapegoat him. When he puts in a good performance, you equally don't praise him. And that's why I don't respect the opinion and I pity the opinion of these people. Because when he goes on a run where he's playing really, really well, they're either silent or they still want to diminish it. Now, if you don't think Maguire's good enough for Man United, that's an absolute fair point. But I saw a compilation going around yesterday on the internet, and there was 2 or 3 mistakes in there, post-lockdown mistakes from Maguire that were bad. I would say there was 3 where you go, yeah, that's bad from Maguire. The rest of them, they weren't even mistakes, but they've been twisted into mistakes to push an agenda. There's ones where, like the marking of AWB and the no-look defending. He was in no position to even challenge for those balls, but very, very weird indeed. Cam, I wanted to ask you, though, Cam, while you're on, about this William Saliba news.
That's upset me, man. When I found out that he might be getting pushed out, that actually upset me. He actually looked like a defender for the future. Obviously, he's still young, but the fact Arteta don't want to even give him a chance is actually that now. Like I said, yeah, I'll be quick about it. Like I said beforehand, I was never Arteta in the first place, but there's no point getting rid of him. But if my man can't even give Saliba a chance, at least give him a chance. And because the games that he has, like the couple of games he's played in, he's done very well. I know they're not big games, but he's done very well. Like he obviously he's still 18, 19, so he's still young, but I'm upset about it, to be honest.
No, and I hear you on that, bro. I think that I think the media is pulling on heartstrings here. Like, they know what they're doing, if that makes sense. And I wouldn't be overtly drawn into it if I was an Arsenal fan. I think that
the only reason, do you know what it is? Yeah, the only reason why when I read about it, I read about it yesterday. Funny enough, the only reason why it did upset me a little bit more than because I don't really when I read the newspapers and all that, I don't really believe it until I start seeing it on like a legit thing like Sky Sports or something. Yeah. But when the reason why I got a bit upset was, well, Arteta's not even giving him a chance. So maybe they could be true about this story. Like, it could be 100% true, because the fact that Arteta won't even give him a chance. Like,
I just don't think I think what Arteta's doing is actually clever. The problem is Arteta has very little credit in the bank. I'm defending Arteta here. I think they've looked at him in training and they've gone, he isn't ready for this level.
Oh, no, 100%. Like, me personally, I wouldn't put him in the Arsenal squad straight away for another couple of years. But
But
maybe the
mate,
story,
mate,
the story I read
let me
was
finish my
Arteta
Cam. Let me finish my point because I was getting to that. So what I'm
yeah,
saying
sorry.
is that William Saliba isn't ready. If you throw up, it's smart from Arteta, and he should be getting praise. And Arsenal fans have got to look between the lines here, because if he plays Saliba before he's ready and he crumbles, it could destroy his career. Because most football players, yes, ability is part of it, technical attributes are part of it, but the mentality side is there. And if he gets played too early and doesn't perform and crumbles, it's finished. That's why I think they need to find him.
Can I ask you?
Let me just finish. What they need to do for William Saliba is find him the right club to go on loan to, where it's going to challenge his physical and technical ability, but equally take him out of the limelight so he's got room to make mistakes and grow.
Terry, that's what I'm asking. What one did you? Because there's obviously a few. The one I read said Arteta was going to sell him, not loan him.
Well, I read the one that he was going. They were looking to sell him, and from my point of view, I think that's a lie. I don't think they're looking. My point is, I don't think they're looking to sell him.
Obviously, I'd rather him loan him out to get him his experience. With that one, I totally agree on. I can totally agree with that. But like I said, I'm going on the one that I saw where it said he was selling him.
No, I mate, listen, I hear that. It's one of those things for me where I feel like the Arsenal are in such turmoil at the minute. It's very easy to manipulate the fans. Oh my God, we're looking to sell him already. When you actually read those articles, they all say the same thing, that Arsenal are looking to move Saliba on in January, but the more credible ones talk about a loan. And that's because he isn't ready to play for you guys in your first team yet, which I think is a very fair thing. But there we go. Bro, listen, man, I appreciate you coming on the show, Cam, and having your say, mate. Really do appreciate it. Thank you, my friend. There we go. Let's do a few more of these comments here that are coming through. Terry, can you start a video series playing Football Manager? I would like to, Ahmed, but it's time, bro. My problem is purely time. I don't have a lot of time to do these things at all. I'm so busy making content. I'm so busy doing these kind of shows, etc., etc., etc. Do you know what's mad, right? So I'm looking at this now. This is what I'm talking about with inconsistencies within young football players. So, or maybe not even inconsistency within young football players, just a standard from within young football players, because I think we have this kind of propensity as football fans to, when you want to hate on somebody, you're not fair. And maybe I need to be pulled on this more to make sure I'm balanced. And this is where we need to challenge each other more, I think, as football fans. So I'm just looking here and I've picked 4 players. Okay, I'm picking 4 players. I haven't counted these yet, but I'm going to do this live on the air with you. And we're going to look at 4 players and we're going to look at their last 20 football matches. And they all play at the highest level and they all play across different top leagues. Actually, we're just going to look at them from September this year, internationally and domestically, and look at them as individual football players and kind of look at how that looks here. So you've got Kylian Mbappe, and these are young players, sort of 25 years and younger. Kylian Mbappe kills it. So since September, this is hard to count. There's a lot. Since September, for club and country, he scored 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 goals. And got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 assists. Now, Mbappe is amazing. He's one of the best young players in the world. But, of course, the French league isn't as difficult as the Bundesliga, Serie A, La Liga, the Premier League. But that's what he's done. So in that time period, a lot of goals and a lot of assists. He has still had gaps, though, of a game here, a game there, and recently a gap of 3 matches where he didn't score a goal. Okay? That's first and foremost. We then look at Jadon Sancho. Since September, club and country has scored 1, 2, 3, 4 goals only since September for club and country. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 assists, which is 10 goal contributions in, I'm going to count this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22 games, 10 goal contributions. Now, Jadon Sancho is a player who's regarded as absolutely out of this world. Serge Gnabry, named in the top 11 attacking players in the world in a recent announcement by the FIFA Best Team of the Year, since September he scored a hat-trick in the Bundesliga in an 8-0 win against Schalke. Since then, he scored 2 goals and got 1 assist in over 20 games for club and country. Okay. But yet Serge Gnabry, as a 25-year-old, is looked at as being absolutely out of this world. He has 1 assist all season and 2 goals outside that hat-trick all year. And then you have Marcus Rashford, who's considered a bad decision maker, a bad creator, not elite, no IQ in football. Since September, has scored 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 goals and has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 assists for club and country in 22 games. So when you look at him, barring Kylian Mbappe, who we know is in front of all of the players I've mentioned, Rashford, his outputs have been better than Sancho and Serge Gnabry's this season by a long, long way. He's playing in much worse teams with a much worse manager, but yet he gets overly scrutinized. At the same time as Rashford being overly scrutinized, Martial, who I love, by the way, has had an awful start to the season, is getting defended for not performing. And this is what I mean by the imbalance in people's kind of... why is this because of Rashford? Because of the comments, bro. This is my point about the imbalance in people's views. If you start going through it, and I haven't done it on everybody, but if you start... you throw out other young inside forwards and attacking players, and you start going through it, there are only a handful that are outputting better than Marcus Rashford. And by the way, most of them are in better teams. That's why I defend him. Because the level of scrutiny placed upon his head is a madness. So people are moaning that in the last 2 games, this young man hasn't delivered. I'm like, okay, that is fair. But how about the previous 4 games before that, where he got 3 goals and 1 assist? He created or scored a goal in every game, 4 on the bounce. He had sort of a gap of 4 games prior to that where he only got 1 assist. But then the 4 games before that, he got a hat-trick of goals and assists against Newcastle, the winner against Paris Saint-Germain, nothing against Chelsea, and then a hat-trick against Leipzig. The level of criticism this boy faces is unhealthy. And that's my point here. And most of the United fans that overly criticize Rashford do it to take attention away from Martial, which is mad because they're teammates. It's crazy. It's literally crazy. It really, really is. ITS here says, this is what stats do to you, ladies and gentlemen. It makes you do these dumb comparisons. But it isn't just about stats. It's about performance levels. It's about performance levels. You're telling me that Rashford's inconsistent. He's too much of a passenger. But his performance levels, you look at his performance levels, you look at he's impacting games. It's no different to some of these guys. But yet what I'm saying is that Gnabry and Sancho are heralded as being world-class talents. But yet their outputs and their consistency of performances this season alone haven't been as good as Marcus Rashford. But yet you overly criticize him. That's because you hate Marcus Rashford. It's weird from your point, not mine. I rate all these players. But when it comes to the elite level individuals, how do you differentiate outputs? Because if Kylian Mbappe was only scoring 5 goals a season and getting 5 assists a season, would you say he's the best young player in the world? Or do the assists have to be there? If Cristiano Ronaldo would have scored double the career goals of Messi, there wouldn't even be a Messi versus Ronaldo debate if Messi's ability was as good as it is still. This is the thing. The outputs matter. Without the outputs, the ability becomes almost nonsensical. And you all 100% know that is true. It really is. But listen, you guys can hate all you want. You know you're wrong. Terry, Sancho has been terrible this season. I don't know why. I think Sancho's been poor this season because he... how do I put this in the right way? I don't think he's happy at buying Borussia Dortmund, sorry. And him staying there has not been great. And we spoke about this in the summer. You wouldn't know who's won the battle until the end of this season. Sometimes, the war. The war between Man United and Dortmund to sign the player. It looked like Dortmund had won, but it depends upon how the player reacts, how he performs after not going, what Man United do after that point, and then when he eventually does leave, because he will leave, what money they get for him. If he has a terrible season this year, and his valuation is dropping, by the way, because of his performances, and they get less for him than Man United offered in a year's time, it's a wasted year for the club. So there's always a risk when you win these transfer battles, and we're seeing that at the moment. But also, look, Sancho's a young man. He's 20 years of age, and he's allowed to be inconsistent. He's allowed to have off moments. It's normal. AWB's going through it at the moment where he's struggling a little bit defensively. It's very normal and very natural. All young players go through it. Even the Messis and Ronaldos at 18, 19, 20, 21 had moments and levels and periods of dramatic inconsistency. It's a fact. It's an absolute fact. Stats is not to matter if the player not even helps teams winning a trophy. I don't know what that means, bro. I don't understand that comment. Terry wants to rub baby oil into Ronaldo's muscles. Bro, I probably would do that, to be fair. Like, no qualms, 100%. But this is the point I make to people. So when people say things like Marcus Rashford lacks intelligence, you have to quantify that for me. You have to quantify that and show me how his lack of IQ is costing us. And then those mistakes, are they disproportionate to other people? And I use the logic of, and I always use Pogba as the example here because it gets them, it catches them out every single time. So when they produce the stats that Pogba spends 25 minutes of a game walking, or is it 25% of the game walking? I don't quite remember what it was now. It was used as a stick to beat him with, like Rashford lacks IQ. But it's almost an arbitrary statistic until you put it all into context. So how is it costing Man United if he's walking that much? You might be able to give me examples. Okay. But then is it disproportionate to other people in his position? One, at the same club, and two, at other elite level clubs in the top 5 leagues in Europe. And you have to look at these things. Because if Pogba's walking around on the pitch at the same rate as most players in his position, then it can't be he's walking that's the reason why. Oh, but we're conceding more goals than anybody else. It's because Pogba's walking. We're leaking too much through midfield. It's because Pogba's walking. But if he's walking as much as everybody else in other elite level teams, that can't be the case. The correlation and causation are not the same thing. The same here for Rashford. Rashford took that first time shot yesterday. That's a bad decision. It's those bad decisions why we're not winning as many games as I think we should. Great. But you need to show me, you need to quantify it and show me how his bad decision making compares to other elite level players. And if you can quantify it and show me that he's making 5 bad decisions more on average per game than Sancho, than Gnabry, than Mane, than Salah, and you can show it to me in factual terms and equate it back to why we're not winning, then we've got a problem. But I think you'll find, if you do the study of work, that he isn't disproportionately making more mistakes than other people. What happens is that you're seeking confirmation bias. And this is natural because we all do it at certain times. You look for that mistake. I did it yesterday with Kyle Walker. I think he's a disaster waiting to happen. And defensively, he's very poor. His speed is a great attribute to have. And for him, it helps him recover. And he goes and gives away that penalty. Fortunately for him, Rashford was an inch or two offside. But that was my confirmation bias. That was, see, told you. Now, that's what I wasn't looking for him to make that mistake, by the way, but he did. And that's what you do with Marcus Rashford. I think he's a bad decision maker. So you wait for every single bad mistake he makes to say, there you go, see. But because you love Paul Pogba or you love Serge Gnabry, you're not looking for the mistakes. You're looking for the brilliant moments to say, see, that's why he's brilliant. Pogba did it yesterday. Pogba had 3 or 4 touches and turns in a game that was so silky and brilliant, and 2 or 3 passes in the game that were amazing. People that love Pogba and put him on a pedestal, they focused on those moments. They didn't focus on him not letting the ball run through to Mason Greenwood, or when he tripped over the ball when he had easy passes in front of him, when he lost possession of the ball 4 or 5 times in the middle of the park simplistically. I look at it balanced. I rate the great moments. I hate the bad moments. I put it together and call it an average performance. That's the difference between me, a Man United fan, and fans of the Golems, the fans of the individual players. They're not seeking balance. They're not reviewing the football match in a fair way. They're looking to elevate their favourites and diminish and push down their scapegoats and people they dislike. It's obvious because saying someone lacks intelligence is just an arbitrary comment. It means nothing. They did it to Bruno a few weeks ago, and they got everyone who said this got absolutely schooled by yours truly, and they did. He loses the ball too much per game. He doesn't. When you look at it factually, are all highly creative and high goal scoring central midfield players. And if you look at KDB as an example, as the case in point, they lose the game on average about the same per match. Trent Alexander-Arnold's not a CDM, but he's one of the main playmakers and creators at Liverpool. Loses possession of the ball the same amount of times per game as Bruno, and you do the research and you do the investigating work, and that statistic becomes normal for highly creative players. Paul Pogba this season in a deeper role is on average losing the ball 20 times per game. Bruno in a more attacking role, where it's more likely to lose the ball, historically in football, he's only losing it on average 4 times more per game. Yesterday, Bruno was criticised for losing the ball too much. He lost the ball with forward passes 3 times less than KDB yesterday and once less than Paul Pogba. But no one's talking about that because the seed has been planted that Bruno loses the ball too much. So you're looking for it. And this is what happens. It's smart from people, but it's obvious. And all you have to do is research cognitive dissonance and availability heuristics a little bit. And you understand it. And that's what it comes down to. Availability bias, confirmation bias is what these things do. Lukaku suffered with it massively in terms of his first touch. His first touch was bad, but it was like when it was bad, it was comically bad. So you remembered it more. But he actually loses possession less with his first touch than Harry Kane. But the problem is with Lukaku, his bad first touches, you control it and the ball fly over his head and you could put clown music on it. It's as simple and it's as straightforward as that. And by the way, iTest here says, don't smoke stats, kids. Remember, iTest, every time he comes on the show to have a go at a player he dislikes, he uses stats to put him down. That's iTest for you. That is him in a nutshell. That's why I love iTest, though. On a real level, it's why I love iTest so much, because he's just amazing. He'll literally phone up, right? He'll literally phone up. We should call him Lie Test, because he literally phones up and says stats are stupid. Why don't you like Rashford? He doesn't complete enough dribbles per game. Remember, you can't quantify an argument without facts. Can't win an argument with a subjective view. It doesn't make sense, because you've got to be able to bring it to, you've got to be able to bring these things to life in a football sense. You have to be able to bring something to life for it to make sense. Saying Rashford makes bad decisions, it's great, but for it to hold water, you've got to do the body of work and compare it to other people. We did it last year with Maguire. Maguire gets turned and dribbled past too easily because he's slow, but yet he was getting dribbled past less than Koulibaly, who's fast. He got dribbled past less than Sergio Ramos last season. Turned and dribbled past less than Rafael Varane. The only 2 high-level defenders at big clubs in top 5 leagues across Europe that got dribbled past less than him were actually Lindelof and Maguire and Van Dijk last season. Every other single elite level defender, it was about the same as him. I think he got dribbled past 14 times last season across all competitions. Like Varane was at like 17, 18. I think Koulibaly was quite high at about 24. Gabriel got dribbled past somewhere in the region about 27 times last season. But yet, if you don't do the body of work, it doesn't make sense. And then what you get is, but that's your stats, Terry. That's your stats. I use the eye test. Yeah, maybe Maguire's are a bit more comical because his turn and recovery isn't as good. But your point was the fact that people were turning him and dribbling him easy because he's slow, but they're getting past these faster players with more ease as well. What about that? And that's the thing, when you isolate a singular stat to an individual and say it's bad. And I'm consistent. When it was Paul Pogba in the walking stat, I used my same methodology. And the irony is all the guys now telling me I'm wrong to defend Rashford in this way or Bruno in this way were the same people on their knees gagging on my cock when I was doing it, defending their favorite Paul Pogba. They were like, Terry, oh my God, you're amazing. Because they're biased, because they're Gollum. Oh, my precious. That's what it comes down to every single time with these individuals. And that's what they do. What you'll find with eye test merchants and ability merchants is they use stats when it proves their point, and they want to say stats don't mean anything when it makes them look stupid. It's as simple and it's as straightforward as that. And they've done it on this show 1,000 times, over and over again. They can't even present an argument without giving you a statistic. But I think stats are bad. It's amazing. I think both the eye test and stats need to be used. But what they then do is they go, you're just stat matching, Timmy. No, I talk about ability as well, but you have to use stats to back things up. We've got Kish who's joining us on the line now. Kish, welcome to the Football Terrace. What do you want to say? Hi, Kish.
Yeah, Terry, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, bro. What do you want to say, brother?
Yeah, I just want to talk about the.
Bruv, you've covered your microphone. I can't hear you.
Are you hear me now, Terry?
Perfect.
Yeah, I'm saying Paul Pogba yesterday, I think he played a okay game for me. Find some good passes to Marcus Rashford, but I think it was just an okay game. But in terms of the statement that he put out yesterday, I just think he didn't really clear up anything. It was just buying time with the fans. And we all know he's not committed to the cause at Manchester United, and you could say rightfully so. It hasn't worked out at United, and he's under two managers now. I remember when Ole just came in, he was talking about building around Paul Pogba, and it's more so of Bruno. I've seen him kind of build the team around. So that's the best thing for Manchester United moving forward as a club.
Yeah, I hear you on that, bruv. And I think, listen, I've got no ill feeling at all towards Paul Pogba, but I totally agree that we need to look to move him on now. I think it has to happen. It should happen. It needs to happen. It's imperative that it happens for everybody, because it, on the theme of today's show, it also removes a scapegoat, because a lot of I would say there's a good 60% of Man United fans that think Paul Pogba is one of those big burning issues. I don't think he is, because I've seen this before. I still think we'll be as inconsistent without him as with him. So I think it serves everybody. We get money. Hopefully we reinvest it. He can move on, do his own thing, and go be brilliant elsewhere. And as I say, I want him to an extent. I want him to be successful. I won't want if he plays Man United, I don't want him to be great against us. Why would I? That would be a weird thing to think. But that's how you're also going to see proof, by the way. Say Paul Pogba joins Juve or Real Madrid, when Man United eventually play them, if Pogba's playing, you'll see these fake Man United fans who, by the way, won't leave Man United now because they've got big Twitter accounts that they're making money out of, or big YouTube accounts they're making money out of, but they will want and be happy if he turns up and beats us. That's almost the level of, he'll be able to prove to people that that's the case. But yeah.
Absolutely. What did you think about yesterday's game? You think we could have went for it a bit more? Because I was thinking, we left Fred and McTominay on the pitch, and I was saying, why not just bring on Donovan a bit to third that final pass, just find something, just go for the game a bit more. You reminded me of the Chelsea game where, we had a couple good opportunities against City. Not clear cut. I remember the McTominay one. I remember this one. I wish if Pogba had left it for Greenwood, but I just think, could have went for it a bit more. What were your thoughts on the game?
I agree. I said it in my post-game review yesterday that I was disappointed with, you know what? Hindsight's lucrative. Chelsea then go and lose. So you go, okay, the points okay. But it was disappointing not to go for it. And I felt honest. I understand what KJ on the show said, and Neeks and the boys said that not losing was probably more important than winning. But I felt City were there to be got at. I thought City were poor. There was a lot of space behind the ball. And if in the last 15 minutes we'd have brought Van der Beek on for either Scott or Fred, personally I would have kept Scott on the pitch and taken Fred off. I thought Fred had a good game, but I actually felt he's after that sort of knock he took, I don't think he was as mobile. I would have taken him off. I would have sat Pogba next to him in the double, next to Scott in the double pivot, and said, like, I need you to be more adventurous and go forward a little bit more. We might have been able to open them up with Scott, with Pogba being more that deep line playmaker, looking to put balls into spaces behind Rashford and Martial making the runs, and then with Bruno and Van der Beek linking up to move that ball. We could have gone for it, and we could have created a chance or two and maybe won the game. And yes, there's the opportunity for us to lose, but I felt that it was worth going for and that we had the ability to beat them. So yeah, I was disappointed in the end with the way we kind of bottled that in many ways. But Kish, I appreciate you coming on, having your say, mate. Thank you very, very much. Next up on the show, we've got man like Kai. Kai's back in the house. What you saying, bro?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, perfect, bro. What you saying?
Finally, this Discord thing. Yeah. It's working. I'm good, man. Yeah. About Pogba, it's like now his agent is trying to blame Bild for saying that Bild is a fake magazine, but it's not the first time that he said it. So I don't understand what really he's trying to imply.
No, the Bild thing was to do with the fact that they said, what is it? They said that Paul Pogba is threatened to leave Raiola if Raiola doesn't get him the move this summer. That's the fake news they're talking about. The article about Pogba wanting to leave, they haven't said that's fake news. It's about Pogba wanting to leave Raiola.
Okay.
Yeah, which is why I said that's the reason that those comments midweek are proven to be right. Paul Pogba has come out with a good comment saying that he's going to fight for the club while he's here. But the fact that that he said, I'm not leaving Raiola, it tells me 110%, 110% that he endorses what Raiola said in the media. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, I mean, you know Raiola. Yeah, he might not be the nicest person, but he gets the maximum of profit to his, like, the best contracts to his clients. So so we might not like him, but the reality is he's one of the best agents out there. So,
mate, I hear you on that, and I respect that to an extent, if that makes sense. I definitely get it. There's a comment here from Camran who says Terry is the flip-flop king. I definitely changed my mind on things, but that's because when I'm presented with proof or a new idea, I can change my mind. And that's a sign of a very strong man and strong adult who can change his mind and admit that he was wrong. The biggest fear I have for people in this world are ones who are unyielding in their views, even when they're wrong. So like I do to the eye test merchants all the time when they come on here and try and prove they're right about something and they get schooled with facts, who then dig their heels in further. That's a sign of pure weakness. So I'm cool. If you want to call me the flip-flop king, I'm cool, because being the way I change my mind on things and admit my mistakes, that's the strongest type of man you can be. Hashtag alpha still.
Yeah, who was that? Who was that? Who said, like, intelligent people always ask questions and stupid people always act like they know everything?
There we go. I don't know who said it, but that's a great quote. And maybe I'll make a T-shirt that says that. It's as simple as that. It's alpha still, bruv. Like, if I get something wrong,
it's not the actual quote, but it's similar to the actual quote.
I like what you said, Kai. I like that. I'll go with that one. It's true. I mean, the thing of it is, it's like anything. I'm not convinced that Chelsea are going to continue on this youthful Lampard football trail. I'll be convinced.
I hope they won't. But
well, yeah. I hope they do. Well, I hope they do, and I hope they don't. On a football sense, it'd be nice to see them develop these players and from this a great academy you've got. But until I see 2 or 3 years of them consistently doing it, and when they go through some tough moments and they don't chuck it out the window and go in a new direction or get rid of Lampard or whatnot, then I'll believe that it's here to stay. Do you get my point? It's like I'll only believe something when I see it. And every now and then, so I believe that United were changing their structure because they publicly told us they were. They did interviews about it and whatnot. And then the summer came and we saw they were lying to us. You're like, okay, now I've got all the facts. This is my thought. You're allowed to change your mind on things. It's as simple and straightforward as that. You know what I like seeing in the football fan spectrum is this. When you see, like, you can see there's some Arsenal fans at the minute on socials who really know that Arteta is not going to be good enough, but they're digging their heels in right now. They don't want to admit it. And it's one, and you've got people like KJ and me here on the Football Terrace. We've already said we don't think Ollie's going to be good enough to make us Premier League champions. We're not deluded in that fact, but we know that sacking Ollie isn't fixing the club overall until the club make its changes. That's the big difference. And I think that's where a lot of Arteta outers are going to go. They don't want to turn on Arteta. They're just going to go straight. It's like Egal, isn't it? Egal knows Arteta ain't the guy, but rather than going at Arteta, he's just going to go straight for the board and protect that point he made. But it's cool. It's fair. It's easy to see.
Yeah, don't you think it's different though with Arteta and Manchester United, with Ole at least? Because Ole at least he got top 3. He did. In my honest opinion, I think he reached the ceiling of what the squad can do. He got top 3. He got the Champions League. He did his job. He reached his objective. Therefore, he cannot be sacked. But when you look at someone like Arteta, who's 15 at the league, and he is below teams who are actually, he should be above them. You can, at that moment, the board is kind of fucked, but at the same time, if he is not doing his job to the maximum of his ability, therefore he should be held accountable for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, and I get that. It's just looking at things deeper. There's a great super chat. A great super chat, a comment here, sorry, from iTest says, according to stats, Zuma has more goals than Messi this season. He has more league goals than Messi, not more goals. So again, you kind of got that wrong, iTest. Again, getting it wrong. Messi has 10 goals this season, where Zuma has 4, but Messi has 4 La Liga goals and Zuma has 4. See, this is where someone like iTest tries to be really clever, and say, Zuma has, so Terry, he's trying, what was that lady's name who interviewed Jordan Peterson? What you're trying to say is, so what iTest is doing here is going, so what you're trying to say, Terry, is Zuma is as good as Messi because he has the same amount of league goals as Messi. It's like,
Messi just lucky. Zuma was just really lucky this season with the set pieces. That's it. Doesn't mean he's a better player. That's insane.
Of course, it's insane. What I would say is this: it's like, no, that isn't what's being suggested at all. Because I don't remove someone's footballing ability and their technique. What I will say is this season, Kurt Zouma has been better at scoring goals from corners than Lionel Messi. Like, that's a fact. That is what that stat means, because it's where those goals come from. Now, if Kurt Zouma had been balling out, twining man up, creating lots of chances, scoring goals in the way Messi scores goals, I still wouldn't say Kurt Zouma is better than Messi. One, because Messi's got the elite ability, but also Messi's been performing at a high level for 15 years. But if you have a young player that plays in the same position as Messi, that in a particular season has outperformed him, outscored him, outcreated him, then I'll say this season he's been at that level or a better level than him. But it doesn't mean overall he's better. This is the difference. But this is the thing with the eye test merchants, is they try to diminish stats down to this, like, what you're trying to say is this. And that's never what we're trying to say. We're simply looking at it. And you know, the biggest irony in all of that is that when I talk about stats, I only use stats when I'm comparing people that are at the elite level and only that play in the same positions as each other. I will never compare a right back statistics to a left inside forwards. I'll never compare a CDM stats to an attacking midfielder stats. That's what the eye test crew do.
Yeah.
The ability crew do to try and diminish it. It's laughable.
So you know that every stat has to have some kind of context behind it. You can't just be like, oh, this guy. It has to be a point average. It has to have actual meaning behind it. You can't just throw stats and be like, oh, look at this, he scored more goals. Yeah, but he plays as a defender and the other guy plays as a striker. This guy has scored most of his goals from headers. You can't just use stat if it fits your agenda without actual, background and actual mening behind the stats. Stats can be manipulated easily, you know.
Yeah. What eye test merchants? So again, there are stat merchants that will do that. Oh, my player's better than your player because you scored more goals. They don't play in the same position. You know, my guy's been out injured for 4 months. It's weird, right? So you get those weirdos, and then you get the eye test ability merchants. What they all are overtly is they are all reductionists. They reduce something that's complex into something really simple, like Rashford lacks intelligence, or Martial's is not clinical enough. And it's a big overarching statement that reduces everything about that player into one particular area. And that's not what people like myself do. We look at the overall ability of players, what they're good at, what they're bad at. But when it comes to the brass tacks at the elite level, it's, you know, for attacking players, it's how often are they scoring, creating, winning games. And then what you really want to do if you want to analyze it, and this is fair, is say you've got two players on 20 goals each. It's looking at the types of goals they score. So, yes, the quality of goal, but also the importance. How many opening goals, winning goals, last-minute equalizing goals, clutch moments, all these things get factored in. And that's why Didier Drogba is always heralded as such a star. He wasn't a prolific 20, 30 a goal season scorer in all competitions, but he had those, the amount of games that guy won you matches in where he come up trumps at the last minute. All these things need to be taken out. But someone like eye test, I like eye test, but he's a complete and utter reductionist who likes 10 players. The irony is this, bro, all the players he likes, when he tells you why he likes them, he always brings up stats. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's agenda. Amazing. It's basically just to fit his agenda.
Yeah, but it is funny. It is funny to listen to. I do like it, you know. And you also have to worry about people in life who always want to remove context. Anyone who says, "Look, context." If somebody says,
Terry, I found a quote: "Intelligent people are full of doubts, and the stupid ones are full of confidence." There you go. That's the one.
I like that. Yeah. So doubting yourself, and that's it. That's why I ask a lot of questions. Like I had it from Chelsea fans. Terry, why are you questioning Chelsea when you said we're really good? Because I'm asking questions because I want to understand what you're thinking and feeling. Like if you don't think it's a problem that you haven't beaten somebody in the top 10 yet, then you're fine to think that. But I want to know why you think that. It's not often my questions are not about my beliefs. It's about understanding where other people are coming from. This guy is taking. I love this. This is a great comment from MU. He says this guy, being me, is taking eye test comments out of context. That is a great.
That's
great
his brother.
comment.
That's his brother.
That's a great comment. Listen, everyone who's tuned in today, thank you. We're back later on today with more content for you. I'm just taking a look at the order of play today because I don't know because I haven't looked. I know there's a game going on right now. Villa are beating Wall. Oh no, that was yesterday. Southampton are beating Sheffield United. We knew that. So next game up, 2:15 is going to be Tottenham Palace, and then we'll be live after that match, live after Fulham versus Liverpool, and live after Arsenal Burnley as well. So 3 live streams for you today. Until then, everybody take care of yourselves. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all again very, very soon. Bye-bye.